Hey guys, I know you're about to watch a great Ring Generals video. Real quick, before you watch that great content that you're going to get into, we just want to tell you about our social media. Get all this BS out of the way before you actually get into the stuff. We are the Ring Generals, of course. Like, subscribe, all our stuff. Especially you want to subscribe because we kind of post randomly, so you want to know exactly right when stuff comes out so you can stay current with the Ring Generals material. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Ring Generals, specifically on Twitter, Ring Generals 1, capital R, capital G, and I almost said capital 1, the number 1 at the end. So raise a glass in the sky and salute the Ring Generals. Welcome everybody to the Ring Generals podcast. My name is Nick Nia. Alongside me is Easy E Eric, the RKJ Man, and our special guest today on the podcast, the one and only Kathy Campanelli.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
No problem. We've been trying to get you on the podcast for a long time, so we're super excited to have you. We are loving to have you as a guest today, and so we know there's a lot of stuff you do every single week, and so I don't know what you want to start talking about. Maybe Santino Bros, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Is there anything big coming up that you want to promote just before we kind of start getting into the interviews?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely. So, okay, so this weekend is pretty big. We're going to have a taping of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood up in Port Unimi. We're also going to have, I'll be making my first trip down to San Diego for Ground Zero Pro. I'll be ring announcing for them. Of course, the big blockbuster event for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood is going to be Coastline Clash, and that's going to be May 13th, just a Monday night down at the Improv in Irvine. And that'll be absolutely huge. Another huge blockbuster event, a really cool change of venue, moving it to the nighttime time slot to see, how that goes.
What time?
But yeah, I mean, it's there's always kind of something going on, whether it's doing commentary for AWS. They're going to have their ladies night show coming up. I believe it's May 18th. Santino's is usually running stuff every month. One really cool thing we've been doing at Santino's is the Up All Night, which I don't know if you guys have checked that out on YouTube.
Check it out.
Yeah, it's a really cool, like, by the wrestlers, for the wrestlers, and then we air it later. So that'll be really cool. We're doing another one of those May 11th. But yeah, it's just there's always so much stuff going on. Of course, I mean, like, Bar always has stuff going on too. I don't commentate for them all the time, but I'm usually always there just because it's an awesome show. So yeah, it's always a whirlwind of stuff. But I want to keep adding more,
Yeah. So it seems like you're really involved in the business right now. What is your level of excitement for just pro wrestling and the indie indie scene right now? Because it seems like you're very excited. You have almost something like every single day.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think what it is the fact that I legitimately enjoy it. So it doesn't feel like, okay, gotta do this, gotta slave away, gotta, make money, whatever, gotta pay the bills with it. It's really something I genuinely enjoy being a part of. And I mean, when I call matches, like, that's legitimate excitement that people can hear in my voice. So, I mean, super excited. I mean, on a level of like 1 to 10, I'm like a 15. Like, I just really like it,
Now, Kathy, tell us about your start in pro wrestling, because I saw somewhere where you were an opera singer, or you did opera for a quick minute there, and then you moved into pro wrestling. So tell us how that transition happened.
It's a really weird transition, isn't it?
That's nice.
I went to college to be a performer. I always, from a very young age of just doing musical theater and doing plays when I was growing up, I always felt like I had to do something performance-wise. So I went to college to be an opera singer because it was something that people were like, hey, you're good at that? Why don't you pursue it? And I have fantastic parents who I said, hey, shouldn't I get something more practical? Shouldn't I get like a business degree? They're like, nope, you're going to be an opera major. So, but I mean, I'm thrilled, obviously. So after moving out here to LA, started kind of just like, I had friends that were watching it back on the East Coast. But moving out here, I started kind of watching on a weekly basis and got a little bit more excited about it. to the point that Santino Brothers was doing a one-day tryout. And one of my very dear friends and I went to the one-day tryout, and it was a lot. it was a lot. So I'm really glad that I did it, because it was a huge eye-opener to everything that every wrestler puts themselves through. And it gave me, I think, a serious appreciation for it. But one of the best things that came out of the one-day tryout was the last portion of the class was a character development portion. Where it said, hey, like, who has a character? Who wants to cut a promo? So I had a character that I had been kind of thinking about. It's because I worked in human resources at the time, and it was Kathy from Human Resources.
That's good.
It was just this heel manager, just no fun, no high flying. I mean, I very much took a lot of pages from like Drew Gulak's book and a lot of what he was doing at the time. So I loved it. I loved the idea of I'm very by the book, and I got a lot more engaged in social media through that character. But I feel like that was where stuff finally fit for me. It wasn't a matter of being super physically gifted or I wanted to tell the story. I don't rule training out. I think it's still a really good way to have a better concept of what's going on in the ring. But I really think that the storytelling piece, the supporting piece of it, is where it all kind of fell into place, and where I really started pursuing it was through Santino's actually ended up offering a manager class for basically like, hey, you want to be in wrestling? Hey, do you not want to wrestle? Here you go. So it was everything from ring announcing, commentating, the production side, everything that goes into, a live show. So much kind of just knowledge of the business in general. Just so helpful. So I mean, that was huge in shaping just my journey in professional wrestling.
When you did that initial tryout, did you actually have to take bumps and stuff like that? Oh, wow. So that was obviously.
I can't do that.
I mean, we were wearing like
15 minutes.
What was it?
I'll be done in 15 minutes. I can do it. I'll be done in 15 minutes. I can't take that physical punishment every single night. I heard, though, once you train, though, and as many times as you train, your body gets used to it. But it's still physical punishment every single night. So that's tough that you even went there for one day. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was one of those things where people talk about building up a callus. So it's okay. I love it, and I respect it so much, and I admire the people that do that on a daily basis. I know for me, like, I entertain the idea of, like I said, like, just keeping up here and there. Like, I can bump. Like, I feel good. I feel confident about that. But there's, I think, just there's a lot of pressure. Like, literally someone's life is in your hands, and that's crazy. So, like,
now,
I think that was just a lot for me.
So, how did you get involved with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, from Santino Bros?
Yeah, so at Santino's, for the manager class that I was in, a group of us actually ended up going up to the venue to just help out with the ring. Help being part of ring crew, help running gear, selling, like being at the merch table, just to kind of help out and lend a hand. And I standing kind of at the ring, and I was watching them do all of the pre-show promos. And I was approached, someone said, do you want to do that? I was like, yeah. So luckily I had actually been at a show the night before where I had come straight from work. So I still had my work shirt in my car. They're like, okay, like I went and I grabbed my work shirt, and I cut a promo with Kathy from HR, and then I did like a little mock interview. I think it was with Ty Matthews. And I just had like a little, back and forth with him, and the rest is kind of history. That was like my audition, and it was so spur of the moment. But they say always be prepared, because you never know. You never know.
Always be prepared.
Yeah, the one thing that I saw in one of your interviews that I was actually surprised was the NWA champion Nick Aldis, and I gotta know, how was that experience? Talking to Nick Aldis.
It was really interesting, because that was one of my first, I think it was one of my first like major
true.
Promos. So we're doing the interview, and I wasn't expecting, he does this line, because they were preparing for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood was doing the trip to China, and he was part of it. So he had been studying, I believe it was his Mandarin, and he said, Gigi, Kathy, and he said, you can say it too. So I take the microphone back and I look at the camera. I go, and he cuts me off and he goes, "You're welcome," and he walks away.
Yeah, that's brutal from Nick. Damn.
That's crazy. But
Crazy.
No.
what has been your most favorite interview on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood? I heard you say something about Jazz. You will. What did she say? Something about you will now refer to me as
the female fighting phenom.
Yeah, I can't say that.
She was just honestly, just what a presence to just kind of be standing next to her. Very intimidating, and I referred to it before, like, you know, like when a parent or an authority figure gets really quiet, like, you know you're in trouble. Like, they can yell and scream or whatever, but when they get quiet, like, it's a new level of bad. That was how it felt, because she was so quiet. Oh, he said, "Listen to your little girl." I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Respect to Jazz, man.
But like,
It's badass.
amazing, like, commands respect. Incredible. So that was a really, really awesome one to be a part of.
Yeah, the aura of her, like, you can kind of feel why she's been so successful in the business too, in that way, because you kind of got to be like that if you want to be that high. I mean, Jazz has been, I forget how many times she's been women's champion, but it's, you know, at the top of the top at some point. So have you ever had an interview where it was like maybe a little extra intense, or there was someone went off script and you didn't expect it? And how would you kind of deal with that if something went wrong in an interview? Because we see that, like, kind of in the big companies sometimes, where people go whatever the word, they go off kayfabe or whatever like that, and you see how people react, and sometimes they don't react in the best way. How would you kind of approach a situation like that?
I think at the end of the day, it's kind of a matter of not feeding into it, because, you know, my role is to be kind of the straight and narrow. They're, you know, whoever I'm interviewing is the personality. So if they, you know, go a little off and go a little zany, I have a stupidly expressive face. But I think trying to, like, control that would be a huge thing. I've had a lot of really fun interviews with Sway Thompson and Chris Bay, just because they are so, oh my, they're hysterical. But they throw a lot of stuff where I'm like trying to control myself. Heather Monroe's another huge personality. I think one, like, I mean, it was no huge deal, but she has her little water bottle that she sprayed.
Oh yeah, she sprayed you a couple weeks ago. She sprayed you right in the face.
I was not expecting, so that was a very legit reaction to the. But luckily, I haven't had any, like, knock on wood, like, any major train wrecks, so to speak. But just more so, like, fun and trying to control my reaction to things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, Kathy, I'm interested because you work in these independent promotions. I'm interested if this is the highest independent wrestling has ever been, in your opinion. So we're seeing, like, AEW being created, and some people are saying they could go to Turner, and so a lot of people are saying that they're now the legitimate competitor to the WWE. Now they're claiming on the other side that we're just being an alternative, but internally I'm thinking that they want to compete with the WWE. Well, do you think right now it's the hottest time to be on the independent scene? And do you think the WWE is no longer the end-all be-all for these wrestlers?
I think that it's a really incredible time to be part of the pro wrestling world, and the independent scene is absolutely flourishing. I think that one of the beautiful things is that, like you said, WWE still can remain a huge, major goal for people, but there are so many options out there and new ones that I feel like are popping up all the time, that there's more pieces of the pie for everybody, and that's something I love, because it should be something for everyone to be a part of. So I love the fact that there are, you know, so many new promotions coming up, and realizing that you can have your dream goals and you can have your dream companies that you want to work for, but realizing that there are still so many options that you can, you know, make a living. So I think that's a really beautiful part of it. I think it's huge right now, and I don't think that there would be as many, you know, people even, you know, 5-10 years in the past that would be doing it.
Yeah, I kind of saw that with, like, at the time back in the late 90s with backyard wrestling. A lot of these kids would, you know, do, like, these pro wrestling shows in backyards, and they would just have their own setup in the back, and then they would just do their own shows. I thought it was actually pretty cool. And then seeing other alternatives, not just WWE and WCW at the time, you can actually, go to these wrestling shows, locally, you just can't just go like 10 minutes away from your house, or just go to check out a wrestling show, or even be a part of it, or even do interviews, or even become a referee or whatever. That's probably one of the beauty things about the independence, because you kind of have like this freedom in a way. I think I remember I did see one of your interviews. You said that there's the freedom and there's also the somewhat you feel like you can experiment in a way. You get to experiment and actually explore more of the wrestling part of, not just telling stories in the ring, but also doing interviews. I think that's just the beauty of being part of the independent scene, if you ask me.
It's fantastic, yeah, because it's all advancing a story. And like you said, whether it happens in the ring or it happens ringside or it happens before the show starts, like whatever, it's all part of this bigger picture and a bigger story that's, supporting what's happening in the ring.
Now, Eric, I'm glad you actually brought that up, brought the theme of independent wrestling, because we do talk about one person a lot on this, on our podcast. Specifically, there's a lot of complaining going on about this person, Priscilla Kelly, and a lot of her antics. Do you know of what she's done in the past? What some of the antics she's done in the ring?
Oh, you're looking at me, Eric.
Oh, yeah. God, of course. I mean, the tampon gimmick, the puking, like you're gonna have people that you piss off with anything, and I think it's freaking hilarious. Like, yeah. I love it. I think the normalization of a menstrual cycle is fantastic. Like, it's a riot to me. Yeah. And I think that that's wrestling, like yeah. Whatever. Like, it's meant to be fun. It's entertainment. So I think that's fantastic. Like, I wholeheartedly.
I'm on more of the side of you too, because I'm like, you got to find your niche in some way too, especially if you're not in one of these giant companies. And Priscilla Kelly has been being covered by like CNN and Fox News and ESPN for some of these stuff. And I'm like, every publicity is good publicity, or whatever the saying is.
Hold on. But is it a fad? Is it just something that we tap on for 30 seconds to a minute? We talk about it for a day or two, and then afterwards, we're on to the next subject.
So even if it is, I think you're gonna find people that watch this story on Fox News, on ESPN, that have never heard about independent wrestling, and all they know is WWE, and they hate it. They might go a little bit further and explore, like, well, okay, like, let me find out a little bit more about what was going on. They may watch a clip of that match and be like, wait, this is actually awesome. And I think that even if it is a fad, even if it never happens again, it served its purpose. Because it brought new people into a world that they might not have known about. Like, for only watching WWE and then going to my first live show, like, in LA, night and day. And I think that if I had only watched WWE, I might not have aspired to get involved in the independent scene. And I think the independent scene is really what is helping me to grow the most,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you have that freedom to kind of do a lot. And I remember I was listening to an interview you did where you said that bar wrestling a lot of times is kind of uncensored and you can kind of do whatever you want. So you have like the restrictions you have with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Obviously, it's on live television. And then you have bar wrestling where it's that I feel like develops not only like your character as a wrestling personality, but it develops, it teaches you skills that you can now carry on further in the wrestling business.
Absolutely. I mean, so much of it is even just improv, like being able to, have to be on my toes for anything. I mean, a lot of things with, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood are set up ahead of time, and that's all, that's great because there's a certain level of professionalism that comes with that. But I think that to just kind of be able to like go off the cuff, and there's nothing like that feeling.
Now, one thing I do see in bar wrestling a lot is the intergender matches. I see a lot of, and she's my favorite wrestler right now in the independents, Tessa Blanchard, go up against guys like Brian Cage. So tell me what your feeling is about now men versus women in wrestling.
I love it. They're all wrestlers. Mm-hmm. And like, period, end of story. Like, I think that's amazing. And I think that I think it's, like I said before, there's no kind of better time, I think, to be in the pro wrestling world right now. And I think that, you're going to hear people that argue either side. I mean, my personal opinion, I love it. I think that it brings out a lot of creativity for, both opponents. If I, can't lift Brian Cage because I'm a normal human being, how am I going to tear him down? How am I going to get a leg up in this match? What am I going to do? How do I tell the story as Brian Cage, realizing that I'm Brian Cage, like how do I tell this story again, in the ring? I think that it makes people have to, use maybe, if it doesn't make sense for you to muscle out of something, like, can you be wily? Can you be cunning? Can you, find other ways around? So, I mean, I think it's genius. I love it.
Yeah, and shout out to Brian Cage that we met him over at WrestleCon.
Super cool dude.
Yeah, and me and Nick, we took a picture with him, and just like, just by actually like putting my arm around like his traps, I'm like,
oh my goodness,
guys, like
it was ridiculous.
It's just ridiculous.
Dude,
and man, like shout out to you, Brian Cage, if you're listening. So yeah, it's one of those guys is that he just does like not just he's like a strength wrestler or like a big dude, but he can do acrobatic moves that I didn't even know that he can do it. And that's like probably the most awesome thing about Brian is that he can do not just, power bombs or, clotheslines. He can really like do
very athletic.
Yeah,
dude.
athletic. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of his stuff on Lucha Underground, and it's unbelievable. The Hurricanranas, getting on the top rope. It's crazy. It's crazy how you see a guy who's so big with so much athleticism. It's ridiculous.
And
so,
I feel like you're seeing that more and more too, where I think it's almost, you can't just be a big dude anymore. Like you kind of like, it makes sense to work a wider repertoire, and I think a lot of people are pushing themselves further to be very well rounded in what they do, and I love that.
No, 100%. And so when we were at WrestleCon, I remember because we kind of came halfway through the Tessa Blanchard match that they had put on at the actual WrestleCon event. She was fighting a man, right? In that fight.
And she was super over.
I think that was Eddie Kingston.
She was the best competitor on the entire card by far. She was the most impressive. She put on the best moves. She impressed me the most. It is amazing how the female talent has risen, even just from like 5 years ago, too.
It's true, and I think it's all along the point of like, okay, you can't just be a big dude anymore. You can't just be like a pretty girl. Like you need to have the bar is so high. Like you can't just be, a pretty face. You need to be a hard worker. You need to, be impressive. And I think a lot of people's skill is finally being showcased, and I think that's fantastic.
No.
So Sexy Star made a comment actually. She said that her winning the Lucha Underground title actually started the women's evolution in WWE. Now, I want to get your opinion on that because I think that's absolute BS. Because I think before then, TNA was doing stuff that was absolutely fantastic with the women, with the TNA knockouts, and they had the women's tag team championships too originally. So I want to get your thought on where did this whole women's wrestling movement start, in your opinion? Did it start in Lucha Underground with Sexy Star, or did it start in general on the independent scene? Or is the WWE really the one to credit for all of this because they put it on the mainstream because they are the biggest company in wrestling?
I can definitely see the argument of the WWE being like the biggest focus. I mean, they're the biggest. I mean, I think like the same ways I said that someone would see a Priscilla Kelly gimmick and then that gets them into it. Like maybe, yes, a lot of people, people that had never watched wrestling in their lives were reading in the news about, women main eventing WrestleMania. Like that's huge. I think that brings in a lot of a bigger audience, but I think the actual revolution probably was starting in the independents. I think that would be kind of the birth of it. And then the evolution, I'll say, was
revolution.
Exactly. Yeah. Just bringing it to the wider audience through WWE and through some of the more major promotions.
Now, we have started to talk a little bit more about the WWE product. I remember, I don't know if you said this to us before in this interview. I don't know why, I can't remember. But you said that when you came over to LA, you started to watch wrestling more weekly. Was that you're talking about WWE or just talking about the independent scene?
WWE strictly.
Okay.
I didn't really start exploring the independent scene until I was actually going to shows out here.
Gotcha. Do you still follow the product sort of religiously right now? Kind of what's going on with the stuff right now?
I mean, I think I'm following as far as like the shakeup and you know, watched WrestleMania, and I feel like if I can catch it, I catch it, and I am engaged by it. If I can't catch it, I at least want to have an idea, like just through social media, of like, okay, what happened? What did I miss? So
Yeah, same here.
So by any chance, did you see last week's Raw or SmackDown where they had a new Bray Wyatt gimmick released? Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. So we're gonna go into a segment we call Ryan Rant.
My rules.
Yeah, and so this
I've
is
been
where
seduced this whole time. All right. So on Monday night, I saw something that literally made me turn off the television as soon as I saw it. I turned off the TV. I didn't keep watching. Actually, I turned it back on to show my mom. And when she saw it, she was cringed out by it. The fact of the matter is this new Bray Wyatt gimmick is creepy as fuck. All right, it's creepy as hell. And the fact of the matter is this: it's gotta stop. I don't know what they're doing with this Bray Wyatt thing. A buzzard that comes out of a box, a freaking witch. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And people are saying, well, WWE creative, this is going to be helped out. Bray Wyatt is going to find a way with WWE creative to get this over. But see, Bray Wyatt and WWE creative go as well as Bill Cosby not getting women on Quaaludes. In my opinion, it goes good as Harvey Weinstein with an actress. Okay, the fact of the matter is this: Bray Wyatt and WWE creative don't mix. And the fact that we are seeing allegedly, I'm hearing rumors that allegedly the WWE is already getting pressured to not do this gimmick is showing to me the fact of the matter being that he's going with the wrong gimmick. And it's not going to work because I do not trust the WWE creative in this situation and Bray Wyatt to stick to this thing and work it out. What are your thoughts about this, Kathy? Because I was embarrassed on Monday night, and I was like, I'm if we weren't doing the Ring Generals podcast, I would probably take a little bit of a sabbatical after that from us. Because and in a time right now when AEW is absolutely positively on the horizon, we're hearing rumors about them going to TNT. I think AEW is getting ready to destroy the WWE in a little bit in October, should they get this TNT TBS deal, because people are fed up with this type of BS on the product. I know people say, well, they're on Fox now, so there obviously is still a demand for WWE, and I agree with that. But the ratings have been slashed in half. It's still getting lower and lower every year. So the fact of the matter is this: these things aren't working anymore. I just want to know your opinions on this, because I think AEW is about to destroy WWE. All right, that's what I think.
Okay. Okay.
Lot to process there, yeah.
It is a lot to process. I've been seduced the whole time. I was like, I got to go in on this one.
No, I'm glad you did. That's a lot. Okay. So all I could think, I don't know if either of you guys have watched the show on Sci-Fi called Channel Zero.
I have not. No.
Okay. It basically.
Sci-Fi since SmackDown left.
Oh, okay. No, sorry. Okay.
Well, I watch Sci-Fi when Blade 2 is on, or Blade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair choice. There was a show, like kind of like a horror sci-fi show, wherein they had this. It was like a show within a show, and they used these weird puppet things, and that's all I could think about. The whole promo was this thing. It was called Campbell Cove, from this show called Channel Zero, and it's all I could think about. And okay, so I don't know if there will in upcoming history, I don't know if there will ever like not be a need for WWE. I think regardless of, like I said, it's more pies that we're bringing to the table. It's not like we're trying to take anyone's pies away. Everyone can have like a piece of the pie. If WWE is your thing, like cool, that's fine. Stick with that. If you want to watch AEW, like awesome, do that. You want to watch both, cool. There's pie. There's enough pie for everybody. So I think a lot of it's going to be trial and error. I'm curious to see, because I feel like one of the big things, I don't know how much it had to do with creative or just how much it had to do with booking, was the Iconics. I feel like the audience was not behind the Iconics.
Mhm.
They hated them, they booed them, they came out and they, were.
I'm behind their
Hell.
entrance. I'm behind their entrance. I think their entrance is great, but when they get in the ring, it doesn't work for me. And now it looks like Sasha Banks, apparently, allegedly, could be at a crossroads of the WWE because they took the titles off her and Bayley too soon. So, I mean, the booking of the WWE is the problem. It's not the wrestlers now in 2019. It's the booking, and I have to give criticism to the man in charge, Vince McMahon, because I think complacency has set in for a really long time in the WWE, and we see moments where everything is great and we see everything is good. I think around WrestleMania season is the time when they're trying the most, and they have moments where they try, but I think a promotion like AEW is something that is needed in the wrestling industry right now to push the WWE to innovate, to do different things, just like WCW had to push WWF back in the day during the Attitude Era. Because what I saw, honestly, I saw this online, what I saw from that Bray Wyatt promo reminded me of something from 1995 WWF. Gobbledygooker, all these strange, weird gimmicks. The only thing is this. A lot of people are saying, well, Bray Wyatt has this. Some people are saying Bray Wyatt had this idea and he's coming to WWE Creative and they're letting him run with this idea. But the problem is the Bray Wyatt gimmick has been destroyed for so long. I don't know how he looks in the audience eyes anymore.
Well, I'm curious to see how this will translate in the ring. Like how.
Well, when is he getting in the ring?
Well,
That's my question.
Exactly. But how will this affect, the choices that this, character will make in advancing a storyline within the ring? I think a lot of the nature of just anything, even entertainment-wise, is cyclical. So you saying like this reminds me of something from the mid '90s. Maybe that was the point. Maybe it was a curiosity to see like, hey, what's going to happen with this? I feel like there are a lot of situations where people will try something new and kind of see where it'll go. So I feel like until I see it in the ring, I'm gonna reserve my judgments until I see how it'll actually play out in a match.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to see it in the ring too, because it was such a production what they did with that segment. It was almost like it came straight out of Adult Swim or something like that. Like like I changed the channel. I fast forward through the commercials because I watch Raw on tape a lot, and I started fast forwarding to it, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's Bray Wyatt. Like I got to go back.
Right.
And I am interested to see, because how are you gonna make these characters that he has, these dolls and these toys, realistic outside in the ring? I'm interested to see that too. So I don't necessarily. I'm gonna reserve judgment too, but I'm still skeptical, even like how they're gonna, almost like maybe they just need to build him outside the ring so much to where people are like, okay, we got to get him in the ring. We got to see what happens. And then he gets, he gets this monster push or something like that. I'm not sure, but it is interesting. It's definitely a topic that we wanted to discuss for sure.
And they got you talking.
Yeah.
I mean, if at the end of the day, if you love it or hate it, it still got you talking.
I said in my group chat immediately that was what I was going to talk about. Because it's a freaking, I don't know if it's a dinosaur, I don't know if it's some type of mythical creature or something, but it's coming out of a box, and you've got a witch that looks, it looks awful. It looks bad. I'm trying to be subdued on this spot. I'm trying to be subdued, but the fact of the matter is this: that was quite embarrassing for me to watch as a wrestling fan. And I'm already getting flack from people for watching wrestling because of the documentary that was done by HBO, the John Oliver thing. So, like, if they see that, they're gonna be like, I don't know what you're watching, but you're an idiot. So.
But you know what? If you enjoy it, who cares what they think? Screw them. Whatever.
Yeah, but if I don't enjoy it, then it becomes a problem. And I don't want to get to the point where I'm hate watching WWE. And even when I turned on Raw, I mean, there was NHL playoffs going on. There was NBA playoffs going on. Even when I turned on Raw, I was like, I really don't know how good this is going to be because WrestleMania just ended and we'll see how it goes. But, I don't like how I'm fast forwarding through so much of Raw. I'm not doing it through SmackDown, though. So they have me through SmackDown. Maybe that's because I've been a loyal SmackDown follower.
He's biased towards SmackDown, though. That's not a real point. He's totally biased towards. So you should hear it outside. He's been a SmackDown apologist for the last.
That is true.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have cable when I was younger. I didn't have cable, so all I had was
There's a nostalgia fact there.
Yeah.
You know?
And plus, I think they've always treated SmackDown like garbage. They've always treated SmackDown like garbage until this year, I guess, because they're moving to Fox. That's my opinion.
And so I'm gonna let I know Eric's tried to get in a couple times here, so I'm gonna let Eric do his segment right now. He does Eric's indie update. He kind of gives an independent wrestling update. You've already described a lot of it, but so Eric, give us some stuff that she did not mention. And he always does. He does his dream match segment too. So I definitely want to get your take on that. So Eric, here's your indie update.
Yeah. So Kat, if you have anything to add onto this segment, feel free to do it. This is even open to Ryan and Nick. So we're gonna do it. As we know, this Saturday, NWA Ring of Honor, the Crockett Cup is this Saturday. Nick Aldis is going to be defending the NWA Championship versus Marty Scurll. Colt Boom Boom Cabana is going to go up against the Mac for the NWA National title, NWA title. And unfortunately, Jazz vacated her women's NWA championship due to medical personal reasons from what she said. She's been a champion since September of 2016. So that's an awesome run from her. So it was actually going to be having Allison Kay to compete against Jazz, but since that has changed, Santana Garrett is going to be competing against Allison Kay.
I love Santana Garrett.
And the one is going to be presenting the NWA women's title.
Who?
Medusa. Alundra.
There's a lot of big names on that card.
Yeah, this just came out today. Here's another one that came out this week. Cody is going to go up against Dustin Rhodes. Goldust, double or nothing.
Another example how AEW is getting ready to get in there.
Quick question, is that going to be main event?
No, it can't be the main event. When you've got Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho.
Co-main event?
Yeah.
Kathy, main event or co-main event?
I don't think I don't think it'll be the main event. But I feel like it's like a flip of a coin. Honestly, like I feel like I could see it go either way, but I don't think it'll be the main event.
Okay, fair enough. This Sunday, Impact Wrestling presents Rebellion. Rich Swann versus Sami Callihan. Johnny Impact versus Brian Cage. Lucha Bros versus LAX. Taya Valkyrie versus Jordan. And, well, your favorite wrestler, Tessa Blanchard versus Gail Kim.
Oh, another stack card.
I want to get your thoughts.
So nicely.
I gotta know, Blanchard or Kim? What do you guys got?
Blanchard, no doubt.
Yeah.
Blanchard. Okay. Submission or pinfall?
Pinfall.
Yeah, I'll go pinfall. I don't really know. I don't know the indies as much, so I don't even know what Tessa Blanchard's submission move would be. So I'm gonna go pinfall.
I don't really remember having a submission move. I think she has a finisher, but that's a pin. So I would think it's gonna be a pin. Is that a disqual? Is that a?
I think it's gonna be like a normal match.
Normal match?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a normal match. So yeah.
So she'll probably. I think what's gonna happen is she might cheat or something. The referee might be blowing it out, and then she'll find a way, or she could just straight up win because they're really trying to build Tessa Blanchard in Impact Wrestling. So either way, I think Tessa is getting the win.
Okay, fair enough. Kat, do you have anything to add onto this segment before the dream match of the day?
Oh my gosh! I mean, just stuff that's coming up in May or just this weekend.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of good stuff coming up.
Really, anything you want doesn't even matter.
I mean, they're doing the WoW Women of Wrestling tapings. I know you were talking about Santana Garrett. That'll be
that's true.
Here in LA at the Belasco Theater. I believe it's the 15th and 16th. So that's going to be amazing. Gosh, like I said, everything like Coastline Clash and AWS. I feel like there's just a lot of good stuff kind of constantly going on. Maverick, I think, will be back.
Maverick Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, Maverick Pro Wrestling. That'll be good.
Okay, sweet. Dream match of the day. So I tend to do this a lot with the guys. So, if you have a dream match, Kat, feel free to say it. So for me, on this one, I see, even though this person is not alive, he's actually one of my favorite wrestlers, Eddie Guerrero versus Andrade Cien Almas.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
What a match that would be.
Yeah. Who would win, Cien Almas or Eddie Guerrero?
I gotta go. Eddie's gonna cheat to win for sure. No doubt.
Cheat, of course.
I'm actually gonna go with Andrade.
Andrade? Okay, fair enough. Okay, Nick, what do you got? I mean, do you have a dream match?
I had one in my head like 10 minutes ago, and I can't remember what it was. So can one of you go, and I can just think about it for like 2 minutes?
You guys can have fun with it. It can be in boxing.
I'll tell you this. I'm excited about AJ Styles and Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I didn't think that happened so quickly, but I think your point about how AEW has a big pay-per-view coming up the week after, Ryan, I think they're like, hey, compete with this. AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. You don't get much better. So that would be my dream match, and I get to see it in the month.
It's not my point. There's some rumors going around that that's the reason, but I think that's huge.
Mhm.
Yeah. Huge match.
And Ryan, you go.
Kenny Omega versus Seth Rollins. You put the two top stars of the promotion against each other. Kenny Omega, who's already said how he would feel like it would be bad if he couldn't wrestle a guy like Seth Rollins, against a guy who may be the Shawn Michaels of this generation in Seth Rollins. And from what, I'm starting to think, because he's putting on match after match after match that's definitely high quality in Seth Rollins. So I think, personally, since he's a WWE guy, Seth Rollins will go over.
Nice.
And Kat, you got one?
I have absolutely nothing because literally there are so many people
There are.
flying through my head and I cannot. I'm gonna, if we do another one, I'll be better prepared. But like,
Yeah. No, I'm
literally,
looking
I was
forward
just
to
like,
it.
this, this. So
Yeah, that's what happens to me almost every single show. He throws it on me, and I'm like, I don't have time to think. I want to think of something good.
Right. And I mean, so many people, I'm like, oh wait, but did they have a match with this person on the Indies like before that? Like, oh,
Yeah.
did this already happen? So I think there's.
Yeah, I think I got one from the horror genre. Pinhead versus Jason Voorhees.
Wow.
Pinhead.
Okay, there we go.
Pinhead.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll go with Pinhead too. Yeah.
I think Pinhead has some otherworldly elements that like.
Well, his buddies, the Cenobites, if you ask me, yeah.
They're crazy. Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
All right, so we're going to transition. We're going to do the last segment of our three. And if you thought you were going to get away with, on this podcast, not talking about cereal, that's not going to happen. I know that you are such a huge cereal fan. You have your social media is filled with it. Your YouTube page is filled with it. So I just have 4 simple questions I want to ask you. It can kind of be rapid fire. It doesn't have to be. Just answer them how you would. So my first question is, so these are my 5 favorite cereals right here. So I just want you to rank them 1 through 5 in order if you can. So Captain Crunch, Apple Jacks, Frosted Flakes, Cocoa Puffs, and Honey Nut Cheerios. Those are my 5. So rank those. If you need me to say them again, I'll say them again.
No, I think I got them. I got them. Okay. Lowest, Frosted Flakes.
Okay.
Lowest. That's my 5.
All right.
Okay. From there, we're gonna go to Honey Nut Cheerios.
Mhm.
Okay, and then I'm gonna say. Okay. What was the one? It's not Cocoa Puffs, not Captain Crunch. What was the other one?
Apple Jacks.
Okay, change it. Frosted Flakes, Apple Jacks,
yeah.
Honey Nut Cheerios, Cocoa Puffs, Captain Crunch.
Yeah.
Wait, with or without Crunch Berries? This changes things.
You know what? I hadn't thought of that. I've never had the Crunch Berries before, so just the normal. I know. I'm a horrible. That's why I'm asking the question. I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Still,
just
I stick by it. I stick by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree with.
Texture-wise, I think Captain Crunch is going to be your go-to. It's the most enjoyable texture cereal experience. Cocoa Puffs, though, you have the deliciousness of the chocolatey milk that you get at the end.
Yeah, 100%.
Honey Nut Cheerios, classic. You can't beat it. The flavor's there. Apple Jacks is kind of like whatever. Frosted Flakes, I think, is just like it's just boring. It gets soggy really quickly.
That's what I was gonna say. That's my problem with it too. I love the taste, and I like eating actually Frosted Flakes just without the milk sometimes.
Yes,
That's what I do.
would prefer that over the milk. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. With the milk, often it gets very soggy very quickly. All right. So next question. I'm glad you didn't even need to extend on it either. You actually went in depth and described them too, which was good. Okay, so this is okay. So if you were stranded on an island and there was no milk anywhere in sight, no milk available, which would be the cereal if you had to pick one that you'd have to eat raw while you're on that island?
Okay. Is it multiple choice or do I just get to pick my own?
You just get to pick whichever. You only get to pick one, and it's the only one you get. You don't get any other cereal, but there'll be a care package that drops down, and no milk, though.
It's Golden Grams.
Okay.
It's always Golden Grams. Here's why. I will always give my dissertation on Golden Grams because I stand by it so much. I hate the powder that you get at the end of a box of cereal. I think it's garbage. I think it's wasteful. And Golden Grams stays together in their pieces, I think, for longer. So when you get to the end of the bag, there's not so much like, you know, powdery nonsense. Yeah. So I feel like I would really be satisfied on a desert island by having the most cereal.
There you go. Okay, so change the subjects. What is your favorite cereal mascot?
Chip the Wolf from Cookie Crisp.
Oh wow!
Not the dogs.
I forgot about
the dogs.
Yeah, I forgot about. And then so basing a kind of a follow up. Which cereal mascot would you think would make the best professional wrestler?
Oh, that is such a good question. Wow. I literally just looked over because I have an entire shelf of cereals. I'm like, wow, who's on there that would be really good?
Yeah.
I have to give it to Tony the Tiger. I feel like he's the most athletic.
I felt like you were gonna say that. Yeah.
He's a pretty he's pretty buff. Yeah, I think, and he seems very agile as well.
I'm just glad he didn't completely bury Tony the Tiger in Frosted Flakes.
I can't.
I'm just glad he didn't completely bury him. Because Frosted Flakes is like another member of my family.
I got him.
That's what I eat at night when I'm doing homework. That's what I eat in the morning sometimes. That's my thing. So.
And it serves its purpose different ways for different people. So, and there's a lot of options now too. I had the banana cream Frosted Flakes. Dynamite, delicious.
I put bananas in my Frosted Flakes too before, and that is a pretty good substitute. That helps with the sogginess.
It does.
To be honest. Yeah, it does.
I got a match for you guys: Tony the Tiger versus Brock Lesnar.
Tony the Tiger.
Tony the Tiger.
He's a tiger beats a human. That's just one scratch and Lesnar's done. You know.
Wow.
But no, so I never thought I'd talk about cereal that much on a podcast. So I'm more.
I'm so glad we did though. Thank you.
No, exactly. I had to somehow bring cereal into this, and I thought, we call my segment the random segment, and I'll bring up Cardi B, I'll bring up the NFL draft, like it's whatever. But and then you said so. What was it? What was your favorite? Your number one?
Golden Grams.
Golden Grams. See, I've never had those before. Are those?
Oh yeah, they're really good.
Generally, like in stores. I have to try. I feel like I have to try them now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they're pretty like regularly, locatable item. Yeah.
There you go. Makes sense. Okay, so that's it for our segment. So this will kind of be the not the end of the show, but kind of our last stuff we're going to talk about. I did want to. You are living in Los Angeles right now, so I did want to ask you how do you get around the LA traffic here? Because for me, I've had some of the most frustrating days being in a car for about 3.5 hours headed from Orange County, where we're based, up to Los Angeles. So how do you manage? How have you figured out how to avoid LA traffic yet?
Yeah, we're having a Skype call.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Smart.
Thank you, technology. No, honestly, I think a lot of it's timing.
Yeah.
Making sure you're hitting stuff at the right time. Some of it's just a good playlist and patience. A lot of patience. but yeah, for the most part, I think it's just more of a timing thing than anything. And like kind of being able to plan your day to be like, okay, well, I know the traffic's gonna suck right now. But honestly, like I'm from Philly. We have like a pretty major freeway there that was like a constant bumper to bumper.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of used to it.
Yeah.
I would say just the patience thing too. It's always important.
My patience runs thin a lot, and it's because what I'll do sometimes is I'll get off the freeway and try to get on side streets, and what you don't realize is 500 other people decide to do that, so you're stuck in worse traffic. It's horrible.
I'll copy.
For sure.
I'll copy the person, yeah. And
yeah.
It's just frustrating that when they cut you off, and it's just so frustrating when you're like on the 4th or 5th lane, like far ahead, and you just like are trying to get to like the exit. It's just good luck with that.
I just try to avoid driving as much as possible, honestly. I really do. These guys know me. Like, I'll take Uber. before I'll drive.
King over here.
I will take an Uber or Lyft before I drive in a dangerous situation, honestly, because I'm not trying to get in no car wreck. That's no. On the freeway, I've heard stories of people's cars breaking down in the middle of the freeway. So I mean, I can't watch that.
That's why you gotta change your oil, man. That's why you gotta, go to the mechanic and fix all.
I mean, last year I had a situation though where I was at work and a car caught on fire and burnt the back of my car.
Insane.
Yeah. So last year, I'm at work and I hear over the headset. I'm like, the guy was like, "Yeah, there's a car on fire," and I'm like, "What?" So
it's pretty blasé as well.
Yeah.
And I'm smelling the smoke. So I walk out of the store and my eyes are turning and turning and turning and turning. I'm like, God, please don't let this be my car. And there's my car. It's not on fire. It's not the one that's on fire, but the car behind it, kind of sort of over here, diagonally from it or whatever, that thing is on fire. And literally, I told the story last year of the Regionals podcast. I ran there, which is probably not a smart idea looking back at it, but I just ran straight to the car. And then the guy was like, "Hey, back," and I was just like, and all my coworkers was like, "Ryan, it's a car. It's like your life is more important than a car." But I'm just like thinking, first thing, there's a damn fire right here, and it's destroying my car. So it destroyed the back of my car, and it was a complete disaster with the insurance situation, and I hate that insurance company now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I try to avoid driving, but stuff can still happen regardless of you not driving. I wasn't even in my car. My car was off.
It'll get you either way.
Yeah. No, that's it.
Yeah.
He has the worst luck with like accidents. It's the fact
Don't
that
say that, Nick. I might get into an accident tomorrow. You gonna say that right now? And I'm gonna call you and be like, "Nick, thanks, bro. I got into a major car wreck and I'm almost dead."
I really hope that doesn't happen. But if it does, it just goes to my point that you have bad luck. So
don't make me put up my middle finger.
Yeah.
All right.
Sticking to the LA news, do you intend on kind of staying in LA as your home, or if there was opportunities that came about for other wrestling companies, would you be willing to obviously leave LA or maybe keep it as a second home?
I think I'm really open to wherever, it's weird. I don't feel like LA proper feels like home to me, kind of thing. So I'm all about kind of exploring different places and see what feels like the right place. But yeah, I'm just kind of open to wherever the wind may blow, and if I, have an opportunity to check something else out, and maybe that's, I feel like you kind of have to do a little bit of exploring to find it. So if it's wrestling opportunities that take me to new places, like, cool, let's do it.
And you said you're going down to San Diego for the first time
with wrestling, yeah. Like I've been there to visit, but I think this will be like one of the furthest kind of trips that I've taken outside of like my little LA bubble for wrestling. So that'll be really fun.
No, that San Diego is always great, and the weather is down there. So I just wanted to finish off because you did mention the event about Coastline Clash. Yeah. Which is at the Irvine Improv. That is literally where we are recording this right now, is about 10 minutes away from recording. So we've already got our tickets bought. We're going. We just want you to kind of explain and kind of promote that event for people that maybe don't know or haven't bought their tickets. You did say it was going to be a big deal, and we've seen some of the matches. It looks like it's going to be a fun card.
I mean, every major title is going to be on the line, so that's absolutely amazing. We'll have the Hollywood Heritage title. The United Wrestling title, United Tag Team titles are going to be on the line. I mean, our women's division is unbelievable, so we'll get to see that talent as well. It's just going to be, honestly, a really great time. I mean, we're going to have the grudge match between Peter Avalon and David Arquette, which is huge. Joey Ryan, Ellie Park. It'll be awesome. It's going to be a really, really good show.
We're super excited about that card, and I know immediately when you said it, when I forget who sent it to me, but they said Irvine Improv, I'm like, oh, I can like walk there practically. Yeah. Like we're right now, we got to go to that event, and I'm interested to see how they actually literally set it up, because it's a comedy place, and I've been there to watch comedy. I don't really know how they're going to put a ring in the place, but that's even more of the interest with the event. Exactly.
Your guess is as good as mine. I love it.
Yeah. No, exactly. So it's going to be really cool.
And I think it's really cool too, because it's kind of getting. I mean, usually we're, tucked away on the on the coast up north, so it's being able to kind of bring it down and show it to maybe a new audience, some people that don't make the trek up to Cornelius. So I think it'll be really good, and definitely more of that is hopefully coming in the future with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood as well.
Definitely, yeah.
So talk to me also about David Arquette, because I'm interested to see him wrestle. I haven't seen too much of David Arquette. I know he have an appearance on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood as well at one point?
He did. Yeah, he had a match against RJ City. I thought it was a really enjoyable match. I'm really curious to see, his dynamic with Peter. I think it's going to be an amazing match. I mean, I've seen him, wrestle here and there, and I think that he has such a love and a passion for wrestling that I think that'll show through his match.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. A Hollywood actor in the ring. I know he does have wrestling. He does have wrestling credentials, and he has won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, which is crazy enough. But
and he does train too. It's not like he's just someone that's like walking in like, oh, like whatever I can do. No, like he takes it seriously, and it's a priority. And I love that.
It's definitely one of the things I'm at least excited for, because I do realize that he does care about the business. He does seem to really kind of pay his dues and show what he can do. So, really excited. Do you guys? I'm full of questions. I have all my questions. Do you guys have any other questions for Kathy before we let her go?
I've actually wanted to know, because I know you're a big Rocco's Modern Life fan, Kat. I want to know if there's like another show that you're actually, a fan of at the time from Nicktoons. Rugrats, I Real Monsters.
Oh, good question.
Hey Arnold, Doug.
Okay.
What is it?
Okay. So aside from Rocco's Modern Life, probably Rugrats would be like my next. Real Monsters is also awesome, but I feel like I sometimes would find myself just kind of like being in and out of like focusing on it. But I love the art style of it, and I love the fact that they're monsters. I'm a big horror fan, so I love that. But yeah, definitely Rugrats. I think it reminds me of just being a kid, literally, and because it was in the 90s.
Yeah, I was kind of like wondering, like, what was your take when they were like grown up, like when they actually
I hated it.
Yeah, I
hated it. Dill ruined that show.
Yes.
When they brought Dill on the show, like, forget it. It was done. It was the end of an era. I don't want to talk about it. No, but no, I do feel like that was the downfall of me. Maybe it was just a correlation of just like the age I was getting to, where I like wasn't interested anymore. But like, I hate them grown up. I'm not interested in that. And I hated when Dill came in. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of, if you ask me, like Nickelodeon at the time were kind of like, they were kind of like pushing Cartoon Network to try like compete with them in order for like these awesome shows to even come out. It kind of felt like a Monday Night War kind of thing, for that during, like after school. Yeah, and man, oh man, I just saw like the effort that they were put for Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. But yeah, I definitely agree with you with Rugrats being grown up. It just wasn't the same. I just turned the channel off. I'm sorry. Yeah, and just some of these new episodes they were just bringing in was just so, it felt weird. The passion was not there anymore, if you ask me.
I don't want to see them going to a concert. Like, no, I want to play with toys and like, burying bugs. Like, shut up. I don't want that.
I know, it was just so weird. Favorite Cartoon Network, show at the time.
I honestly was not watching a lot of Cartoon Network at the time. Like one of my favorite Cartoon Network shows was probably like Billy and Mandy and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. But like I know that's a little bit later. I was definitely more Nickelodeon focused than Cartoon Network at the time.
No, yeah, definitely. I was actually going to ask you about this. Tell me more about the Silver Lake flea market.
Oh, hell yeah! So my husband and our very best friend, they're both artists. So they do a lot of different like art markets, flea markets. And they have some really cool stuff. They're both on my page. So it's Jay Gruesome and Created by Pocket. So you can check them out on my Instagram. They're actually going to be doing on, I believe it's May 8th, is the Midnight Bazaar in Santa Monica. So that'll be really awesome. A lot of really cool art, and usually there's like live painting and drinks and revelry, and it's a lot of fun. So
I checked out the one of the paintings that he did. It was the Mario theme, which was one of my favorites. And the Donnie Darko one, the Donnie Darko was the one that really caught my attention because I love that movie and horror based, if anything. Are we gonna see a Hellraiser painting soon?
I mean,
Yeah.
I can definitely put a word in with with the artist. We'll see.
With the Cenobites.
And honestly, you'll see there's a lot of really cool stuff now with a lot of color, a lot of splatter effects. There's some nods to some old Nicktoons and Pokemon and stuff like that. So there's a mixture of pop culture and a lot of original characters as well with Jake Gruesome. So a lot of really cool stuff coming out of there. So
I can't wait. I can't wait. Hey, man, I'm just like filled with questions. I think I'm filled with questions. Brian, do you have any?
Yeah. I can't let this podcast go away without talking about CM Punk. So, Kathy, we were hearing rumors now apparently that CM Punk was showed up in Madison, Wisconsin independent show. And then maybe he's been in one other or two other independent shows since he's left the WWE. So I want to get your perspective on the CM Punk issue. Do you think CM Punk could be coming back to pro wrestling at some point during this year? And if he does, which promotion do you think he goes to?